and crashes from both sides as well.
Right,
Yeah.
and with that, we're gonna move into the final set of the morning, evening, whatever time it is for you. Uh, we're going to a challenger game. This is I believe Realofoxtrot versus Iggythegrifter.
Hmm.
I don't think
So
we've seen much from either of these players. This is
yeah.
actually a week 10 match, so this match happened just this last week, I believe. From what I saw, up until this point, Realofoxtrot has been actually in the SCL the whole time and has not managed to win a match yet.
Hmm.
And this
So
is
like
Iggy the Grifter's second
yeah.
SCL game.
So like we said at the beginning, this is a chance to kind of look at some games or some players that we missed throughout the season.
Yep.
And looking at some players who maybe might not get casted during a normal week cast. Realofoxtrot has been with us since the beginning of SCL and has played, I think, only forfeiting a single game, so playing virtually all of their games. Unfortunately, not managing to get a win quite yet. So this is their last chance in week
Yeah.
10 to kind of finish out with a bang and get a win. We'll see if they can do it in this set against Iggy the Grifter, who, like we've said, this is their second game, I believe, in
Yeah.
SCL.
Yeah, I mean,
They
yeah, I
joined.
mean Spy Party is already a pretty tough game, and Challenger I mean, it's kind of a rough division. It's so huge. Like, I mean, the
Yeah.
skill gap between the best and worst players in Challenger is kind of enormous, since there's some players who are just, you know, playing the game like crazy right after the Steam release,
And
and
I
they got,
believe some of Realofoxtrot's early games, yeah, they were playing against Pox, Portal Freak, Waterhouse, all very strong players in the
yes,
beginning of their season.
that is just unfortunately, I don't think any of us really expected Challenger to blow up the way it had. It got, I think we're past, I think it's past 80 players now. So
It's a huge Swiss.
yeah, it is kind of nuts. So, pretty much, some
Hmm.
players are just unfortunately going to be, at the bottom, and hey, it's just, it's good to see Real Foxtrot sticking with it. There's a good number of players who
Hmm.
probably would have just dropped.
Yeah, it's definitely props to them for finishing out the season because
Yep.
a lot of challenger players in the Swiss bracket, they lose like 3 or 4 games and they're like, nope, I'm done. There's not a point to playing
Yeah.
anymore. So it's good to see Relo's sticking with it.
Yep. All right.
And
And anyway, we'll get into picks and bans here. Uh, the first band coming out of Real Foxtrot is Courtyard. I'm going to take back every nice thing I've said about you, Real Foxtrot. How dare you?
I
Just kidding. It's
I
fine.
kind of like the Courtyard Man. There are some people who love the Courtyard Man.
Yeah.
I'm I think it can be fun. I think if you are a player who's still getting familiar with the game, it's maybe not the best idea because Courtyard is usually a pretty safe map. But,
Yeah.
to each their own. If you want to ban Courtyard, go for it.
Yep. Yeah. It's, and I'm just sad that we won't get to see Courtyard this cast, which is not sure if it was set up like that on purpose, but when it ended up happening, the band coming out of Iggy the Grifter, this one probably makes sense for someone fairly new to SCL, maybe the game in general, is Veranda.
Veranda, even until recently, I was feeling really overwhelmed on Veranda as a
Yeah.
map. It's it combines a lot of aspects that make big maps difficult. So on Modern, there's a lot of stuff to watch, but you can pretty much see the entire party at the same time.
Yeah.
On Library, you can't see the entire party, but I like to think that there's not that much occlusion on that map other
Yeah,
than
I
just
would agree.
not having something in your field of view. Veranda has all of that. You can't see everything. There's occlusion. There's a lot of just walking around everywhere that you can get overwhelmed easily.
All right, and anyway, leading into the first pick from Foxtrot, we have Modern. Seeing a lot of Modern.
Second pick of Modern.
Yeah.
I
Double pick
It's
again
weird
too.
because I think older players aren't picking Modern as much because
Maybe.
we haven't had it as long. We're more
Yeah.
comfortable on stuff
Although
like
Vernos
Library or
and Slappy
Veranda.
both picked it against me in on my last two SEO matches.
That's true.
So I've
I think newer players on the whole are going to be more
yep.
comfortable with it as a big map.
Yep. Well, I did ban Veranda against both of them just because it's one of the ones I feel like I was pretty strong on Old Art Veranda. I'm less strong on New Art Veranda. So
I feel the same way. I think it's a totally different map.
yep.
I loved Old Art Veranda.
Yep.
I'm less of a fan of New Art
Yep.
Veranda.
So anyway, the pick from Iggy is balcony. Woo! Double balcony.
Doubled balcony. Exciting to
Yeah.
cast.
Be interesting. We'll go from a gigantic map to a tiny map.
Well, watching newer players contend with balcony, I think is fascinating. So there's I like casting at a really 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 high level balcony. People that have played it so many times that it has like a weird like I want to say supernatural feeling when they do it. To people that are now, because balcony is probably one of the best maps to start learning behavioralism, because you don't have anything else to do as sniper, right? And so you can kind of see the wheels turn, or sorry, I guess the gears turn in their mind as they're trying to figure out the ways that they want to organize this small set of vague data.
Yep.
Hmm.
All right, and then the next pick coming out of Foxtrot is Gallery.
Gallery, kind of the antithesis to Modern, in my opinion.
Huh.
Not that large, but a lot more clustered in a smaller space.
Yep.
And just takes a long time to do stuff. It just takes, unless you're doing stuff next to each other, like there's a strategy in Gallery somewhere where you can just see who goes back and forth and just like who doesn't have to cluster it. Because if you don't cluster your missions at least a little bit, what I mean by clustering is you step into a CC and then you go to a nearby like mission site, like the statues nearby or the bookcase. If you make the decision to go in and out of the actual gallery several times, that's like a minute and a half. It's crazy.
All right. Anyway, the last pick coming from Iggy is Pub. Very interesting. Interesting set of picks there.
I said earlier that Gallery is kind of the antithesis to Modern. Pub might also kind of be opposite Gallery in the sense that there's not that much to watch.
Huh,
there's so many maps here, and they're all the opposite of every other map.
Yeah, they're very good variety.
You can analyze maps in like a myriad of different ways, and basically any way will end up having a different map its opposite. So this is a very diverse set of maps, though, I'd say.
Yep.
And I would assume in Challenger, unless the players are playing people they've happened to see in non-competitive play, that the bans and picks are definitely playing to their highest strengths and not to the assumed weaknesses of the other opponent.
Yep. All right. Anyway, with that, we're gonna start this final set here. We got Realofoxtrot on Tex over in the time ad corner here. Let's see how this goes in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We'll see if we do go for a quick time ad. Oh, going for the windows. There's the time ad. It's white.
We leave a little hurried, but seems to have gotten away. So hey, and also time ad on Modern, great map to do that on because there's just so much going on and so much you can do with that time.
Starts off with a green flirt next to our ST for 51%. And with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left. We have a lot of time to kind of think about our next move here. We could timer flirt if we wanted. In fact, kind of likely after that timeout.
Yeah, and not seeming to be looking at many other spots. Could have gone for a reverse drive-by bug there, but decides not to. And
Not
then we've
too
been in
much
this.
cover.
Yeah, not too much cover, but like a really nice path for it. But unfortunately, the character that would have hit in the arm would have been Wheels, and Wheels does not offer the best cover for that because he's low to the ground.
He's also quite far away from us in the CC. We do timer flirt right before our ST walks away.
Maybe
we're
we
sitting
even
at
join him a
85.
bookcase at this point. It should be cooling down about now. That's the thing about flirts on Modern is because the map is so large, the cooldown timers once they start getting away from you, it's going to be refreshed by the time you walk to them if you even chase them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ambassador joins us right after, unfortunately, so we're not going to have a fingerprint opportunity.
But we do have a bug opportunity. We've already bugged at the counter right after they joined. So that's one hard tell down. Looks like it was pretty clean, unseen from Iggy.
An immediate delegate. Interesting. So the delegate
And the end of
for DeVito is interesting because it's one of the easier ones where you can see the fade from behind the character. They're not tall enough to stop you from seeing the fade if you're even without an angle. You can be parallel or perpendicular to the list and still see the fade.
Mm-hmm. But there's also the point of just small man is a generally suspicious character, so delegating to him just adds even more suspicion on top of that. Does get highlight for the purloin, small man that is. Looks like we get off without much suspicion though.
And we're gonna have 4 missions done, and then how do we close it out at this point? I'd say that these are 4 common missions to have done fairly early on, but now do we visit 2 sets of statues, 2 fingerprints? Do we go just for a swap or a transfer? I would love to see a transfer given how much time we have here, but we'll see if they actually go for it. You could also do the inspects and space them out, and that looks like what's going to happen.
Yep. So there's 2 decisions here. You either use your full,
unfortunately.
Yeah, you use your full 2 minutes to kind of allow suspects to be kind of gained for the sniper and then finish towards the end, or you finish missions immediately and just leave the sniper there, not expecting a mission win with 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
Looks like we're just going for hard inspects, and so I like this play. So first of all,
red swap cuts the animation,
but
so
nope,
close to
nope,
shot coming off,
good,
but,
we're good.
but nope, we got away with it just barely.
Okay,
All right.
Not sure how that worked out, but I'm guessing action priorities caused
Probably
that.
action priorities. Yeah, because we got that red swap at the end, and then as soon as Tex held the statue up, we were like, nope, we're getting out of there, and just cut the animation.
Is that what we call it? That's what we call the Simba slam?
Swap.
Yeah, the Simba swap and slam, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, so we had 4 missions done at 1:45, and we opted to do inspect, and we took one of the hardest ways to finish inspect. We double sipped at the first statue, we cut animation at the first statue, then we went and red swapped at the second statue and slammed it down at the second statue.
I mean, didn't get shot for it.
No, I mean that speaks to how invisible Foxtrot was during the first half of the game. Now, if Foxtrot was a highlight doing all those things, had a real legitimate chance of getting shot. But the fact that the first half was so clean, we get away with a little bit of the things that a little bit of the messiness might have gotten us shot.
And I think challenger players especially rely on statues a lot to garner a lot of their suspicion. So doing all of your missions before actually even visiting statues once is oftentimes a good plan in lower levels of play.
Yeah.
And with that, Foxtrot goes up 1. That's one game closer to Foxtrot's first win this season. We'll see if they can continue this as Iggy steps into the spy as teal dress for this first time. And 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I was
We
looking on the
start-
SCL site, and I couldn't quite tell if Iggy's flag was the Philippines or not.
It's Czech, I believe.
Czech. Okay, thank you. Because it looked like the Philippines flag, but it didn't have the little yellow symbol on the left-hand side. So Czech. Okay, so Czech versus it looks like Foxtrot is British.
Yep. I was just going by what it says in the SEL thing, so that's. So
Where do you see that?
if it's wrong, it's in SEL.SpyPartyFans.com. Next to all the players, they all have. If they've told Hummus what flag they have, and Hummus has it next to their names, wherever their names
Right.
appear.
But is there like a name for it? Because sometimes I'll be like, this flag reminds me of this
I
flag.
Yes.
I just inspect it, inspect the element,
Gotcha.
and I see that.
Gotcha.
Yep, and
Looks like-
my system I think uses all the same abbreviations, so
Gotcha.
easy. Ooh, he stops reading, which is a hard tell.
Hard tell.
I'm a caster now. Okay, I'll back off now.
No, you could join in.
3-way casting challenger games could be fun. Anyway, we have a blue book in hand and one flirt done. We're reading at the window and burning off a lot of time here as well. White microfilm at this window. This is actually a decent angle for it because they can't see our hand and they have to be looking over kind of at nothing in
Right.
order to see the animation.
Yeah, not too bad at all for a spot that you are going to white white microfilm in. And generally speaking, newer snipers don't have that sort of built-in peripheral vision for microfilm. I think a lot of players can kind of just, even out of the corner of their eye, see white microfilms that they weren't expecting just because they see an abnormal movement. They're so used to how the normal movement looks when people are reading books that they might notice something going on. And we stepped into the red bookcase. And so red bookcase is really interesting on this map because the hand that would do the microfilm is facing the sniper. And we get the fingerprint on it as well. I'm wondering if we're just going to do this microfilm right now. Might be a little bit risky.
Looks like we barely get away with it. The sniper angle here for Realo is kind of interesting. They were rotated around to the right side for a while there. Basically, almost completely missed Mom even visiting the red bookshelf.
Do we think the sniper's trying to hide the laser here?
Yeah.
It's in the
I think
grass
so.
right now, pretty much. Which I
Possibly.
didn't even notice all this grass here.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, is this... That's
I think
what
those are
is-
just like plants of some dirt.
Right, but those are really big.
Very
big
large
grass.
ferns. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right that I think they're trying to hide the laser. It's not. I mean, we still know where the laser is. I guess it might be a little bit harder to tell where the center of the screen would be, but also it could just be that it's easier to see. Maybe if you cut, because if you look at the bottom, you can still see all of the map pointing your laser down because it's so vertical. Sorry, so it's so horizontal.
Any case, we're counting down here, only 10 seconds left, and it doesn't look like we're gonna finish missions here.
No, we're gonna. Oh wait. Oh, ow. I think we had enough time for slam a swap, but unfortunately, now we
We need
definitely.
one more mission on top of that, though.
Oh, we
Good.
do? Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good patience from Realo there.
Yeah,
We got
but good patience or just not paying attention at all and looking at the plants the whole time. I don't know. Either way,
Possibly.
it worked.
Yeah. We got a flirt there into a delegate to our ST, but despite showing the purloin, we still didn't get a shot. I think
Yeah.
maybe that's because no banana bread ever came off.
Possible.
Banana bread is a huge impetus for newer players to take a shot.
Yep.
Usually,
Even
especially later in the
even not
game.
so new players.
Uh-huh.
That's a trigger for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially on the 5 mission maps, where to not do a banana bread means they would have had to do they're gonna lot past you otherwise.
All right. Anyway, Foxtrot will step into the spy role for the second time in a row. Not
All
in a
the
row. I mean,
suspected
second
double
time.
agents
Not in a row.
standing near each other. I don't
Yep.
know if that is some sort of like if I think that there's like almost like a horoscope that occurs, like if you can look at the pre-party setup, that you can like kind of see where the
Yep.
rest of the game's gonna go. It's
Hmm.
like the spirits of this game are gonna be very DA friendly. You see
3 double
Wheels,
agents all
right?
together.
Yeah.
Wheels is there, yeah.
Is this
And it's
the spy? Are we reading the tea leaves basically, or something?
Exactly.
Version of
Yeah.
Spy
exactly
Party.
right.
Yep.
It's because right now you have the alignment where it's like Wheels with orange Sorry Rising, I think is the it's like the alignment.
Yep, and I guess you also have to take into account where the sniper laser is pointed right now. At pencil mustache. I'm not sure what that means. But
He's
anyway,
top
we'll find
suspect.
out. We'll find out if any of the spy astrology is accurate. In 3, 2, 1, planet.
Let's see if the DA is kind to us this game. 2 wins right out the gate for Realofoxtrot. Looking pretty good at potentially getting his first win in SCL here. Immediately goes to the bar. There's a decent amount of people here as well, so there may be some cover for a delegate.
And one thing about Challenger that I really enjoy is there is more room for drastic improvement over the course of a season, right? So the player that started a season is not going to be the same one that ends it when there's so many things they can learn in the space of 10 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm. Quick green flirt, 51%. I think if we delegate right now, it would go to our ST and not the SDA. The SDA is left anyway, so that's no longer a concern. We gulp our drink, actually. So that may be an indication that we're looking for that delegate and don't want to be suspicious for it.
It's funny to me now that that Realo has decided to gulp when double sipped at the statues before. Maybe just reminding themselves, okay, gulp is a thing that exists, and we do delegate. And an odd path so far for the delegate to take. I don't know. This is the thing I think we talked about before in the forums.
Yeah.
The delegate, not where are you going? Like, what are you doing? Taking the longest possible path. And the timer expires.
It's unfortunate. There is a bug currently, for those of you who don't know, where purloin or delegate targets will sometimes not immediately go to the bar. It's known and it's trying to be fixed, but it can unfortunately throw a wrench in a lot of spies' plans oftentimes.
We visit the statue right next to us, which is an interesting. Fingerprintable.
Fingerprint.
Yeah. And related to that, so the funny thing about that bug is, if in the future there's some sort of way to choose between it, because there's an advantage if you do it early enough to someone who meanders, it's kind of an advantage because they instead of being directly from someone who's talking to them or near them, sending them straight to the bar, they wander, and then they go to the bar after. Really hard to tell who sent them, right? But obviously, the flip side is if you do it later in the delegate timer, they're not going to get there in time for the actual delegate.
Yeah. This is a pretty good banana bread coming off 2 quite full conversations with SDAs in them. Our conversation, admittedly, is a bit sparse, but we got lucky with the other 2.
Right. I mean, we talked about that at the very beginning of the game. There's going to be kind DA placement for the rest.
Oh, yeah, there's the horoscope. We enter this conversation and leave pretty quickly to our second set of to the windows. Only 53 seconds left, so maybe looking at a time ad here. That's exactly what we're going to do, get a green test while we're at it. So the sniper is definitely going to notice that a time ad has happened once we get to the beeping. But until then, there's no guarantee. Oh!
Looks like they have noticed.
Yeah.
Was that the only person at Windows? Yep, that was indeed the only. Actually, no. Duke was, but I don't think he did not look at his watch.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yes.
that was a very
I-
very well spotted. I
Yeah.
generally try to avoid shooting for things like green time ads, but if if you're paying good attention, it's could be a decently safe
Yeah.
shot.
Very
Yeah.
good catch from Iggy.
It definitely indicates that there was a prior suspect too, because you're right. It is difficult to catch it unless you're already tunneling a little bit. It's one of the few times you can tell where a suspect is in the list of the sniper's actual highlights.
Yep.
Because sometimes we look at highlights and they're not one homogeneous class. There'll be some like, oh, I'm at that. What is it? Hummus actually has. There's the highlight list and then there's his shit list, right?
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
you can actually tell the distinction between those if they catch something like a green time.
Mhm. I like the time ad there. I think it's a good decision. I just think it's a bit unfortunate that even though it was green, it was caught.
Yep. And anyway, that was a very good catch. He brings it back to within one. We'll see if he can get a draw on this. This was Foxtrot's pick. Yep, it was. And so we'll see in 3, 2, 1, planet.
Iggy is saying in chat also he noticed a stutter that happened at the fingerprintable statue.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I think Foxtrot walked into the wall a little bit and got stuck on it a little bit.
Just a bit of a pathing mistake that newer players are prone to make.
Yeah, it's a very good catch though.
Gets a quick visit to the bar with a delegate opportunity available, and it comes off pretty quick to our seduction target right after we flirt.
And they're actually going straight there. And it's also it is the same target as the last game, but this time Irish decided not to meander.
Is this a little bit of collusion going on?
Possibly. Yeah. I also noticed at the beginning of the game the suspected DAs were kind of split up, and so unfortunately we're not going to be able to rely on double agent for the rest of this game.
Gotcha. Gets the highlight for the purloin on Irish, so we've caught it. Looks like we're getting a fingerprint from this briefcase, or not, because it was hard and we failed the action test.
Well, we are going to go for the fingerprint that they were at before, I believe. But now Iggy's doing the double sip, but then we go for Bug. Bug doesn't take, and it wasn't
maybe
caught.
unseen.
A lot of. Also, I don't think we're near the pad at the end of that one either.
Yeah, we didn't grab a bookcase either. So a couple of kind of screw ups there, but we're back on track now, inspecting a statue like we originally planned to.
So we will. Okay, so DA just smudged the fingerprint a little bit on the Falcon head, so I don't know if we're going to go for that one. But Ambassador actually is being pretty active at touching things. Ambassador has touched a lot of stuff this game, so fingerprint might not be that hard to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little bit of a redirect into these statues, and we will finish up inspect. So right now we have purloin, inspect. We'll probably finish seduce. We have a chance at fingerprint, and then add in a DA to that, and we have 5 missions. So the question is whether or not Iggy can get finish up seduce and fingerprint.
Another bug attempt there comes off. It's relatively on screen. You can see the arm is tabbed clips through text there at the end of the path, but not highlight or shot for it. So might have been clean. I don't know if I agree with the decision to go for a bug after we already have purloin done, but it wasn't punished.
Foxtrot once again looking at the plants here.
Mm-hmm.
That must be some sort of visual preference for like looking at the game. Maybe they don't like the cursor being up there that much. Now we go and we get a drink. I don't know if it's even hard fingerprintable. I think 2 people had visited, and now we just reject. All right, so we might try to do a. At this point, we have 40 seconds left. That's not quite enough time to do a manual transfer. Hopefully, we just actually grab this book and put it in the wrong case.
There's a white test micro.
I don't know if we have enough time for this. We have to finish 3 missions still. And we're taking the book away. I think we desperately need a time ad at this point. I don't think there's any way you get out of this without having a time ad because we
Looks
took the
like
fuck out.
that's what's gonna happen. We should do it right now because Boots has also just checked her watch. Nope, shot for it. Yeah, if he had checked his watch maybe a bit earlier, then maybe he could have framed Boots for it as well, and it would have been down to a 50-50. But either way, it's still going to be very difficult to
Yeah,
finish.
there's a couple unfortunate spy games from Iggy. I think seems like he's, even in the first one and this one, he's basically going, as far as I can tell, unnoticed. It's just time management is sort of getting him on this map.
Yeah, and this was Realo's pick, so Realo may be a bit more confident with time
Yep.
management on the 5 of 8 maps than Iggy is.
That might be a good reason as to why Iggy went with balcony as the double pick. Although
Very
that
true.
map also can get people on time management.
Yep.
I mean, it's a small map, but flirt can be actually kind of tricky. I mean, it's easier. It's a little bit easier now that timer flirts are a thing, but still, it's not free. Sure.
I like how we're saying now that timer flirts are a thing. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the past. It's
And a call with
a
bunch
very
of gold
recent,
here.
however many 3 years or so it's been a thing. I don't know.
I actually have pretty strong nostalgia pangs for old art because I
Yeah,
haven't played old art
I
in a
think
while.
one of the forum threads with an old KCM match came up, and that was pre-timer flirting it. And I was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was before we realized Twitch flirting was kind of broken.
It might have even had the one where there was I think that was on Old Art Ballroom, but there's been a few where I've seen old art pan up, and then that really took me back. Where it was maybe before the
before
redesign
it
of
was
pan up,
made
before the
pretty
rainbow.
with the
Right,
gray
exactly.
pan up. Yes.
Right.
All right. Anyway,
All right.
let's see this actual game here in this beautiful new art ballroom or balcony. There we go. And this is Iggy's pick, so maybe he's got some six strats shooting chick the sick, I guess. Yeah. Six strats going on here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Start at Windows. Looks like we're gonna time ad on balcony.
Nice.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's funny because I'm almost sure we're gonna finish way before. Oh, we do get a highlight though. Although,
That's
wait,
not
all
not
right,
a thing.
right.
Oh no.
No, apparently Iggy does in fact know a little bit about briefcase etiquette.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe...
you can't. Was Foxtrot possibly going for a bug there?
I definitely think so, but it's the wrong key though, right? Because it's not the spy action key.
Maybe
Yeah, I
trying
mean, but
to
I've
talk?
definitely done that before. There's definitely been times where I've just hit the normal key instead of the spy key, stuff like that.
Right.
Certainly.
Possibly trying to talk as well.
Yeah. Oh, that could be as well.
But then it would have already rotated through. So I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because talking would have had priority, right? So I think at first talking has priority. Then Foxtrot thought they would try to bug because it was right next to them, and they started scrolling through the actions, and they're like, "Oh, I can't bug. I have a what is that? They have a drink in their hand." And then they're like, "Okay, I better just talk." But now that they've scrolled through the actions, talking is now pick up briefcase. That's my guess.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that was not intentional, and it was a good spot by Iggy, a new player, but knew that briefcases do not work like that, and he was correct.
All right.
Anyway, and stepping into Spy now on his pick. Let's see if they can continue with this comeback here. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Although with the early time ad, we do have time to do things like pick up impossible briefcases.
A far green flirt at Windows. I don't think we're going to get any heat for a potential flirt there.
Good
And we're
awareness to get
stepping
that enough.
in next to the Amba. I really hope we don't try for a bug here.
And it looks like Amba bails out, and we do not try the reverse bug on their way out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We've
I'm assuming
actually-
this is going to be a free to cocaine.
We've actually requested a drink, which if Realo
Purloin's
were
on.
paying...
Purloin's on.
Purloin's
I
on.
didn't even notice. Right. Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
we need to talk about that.
Oh,
Oh,
whoa!
gosh.
Got
All right.
killed off. Wait, this
All right.
setup was bug,
Bug.
seduce, Purloin.
So we need to watch that on the challenger ones because like I definitely have that ingrained.
Yeah.
Right, where it's gonna be bug.
Yeah, we
Contact seduce every
expect
time.
what we would call classic balcony, which is bug seduce contact. And you know, there's
Right.
no rule against switching it up in SCL. It's just that we're so used to it that normally we don't, and so every once in a while you can sneak something in like that.
Mhm.
I'm
And
really curious if that was intentional, by the way, because like the Purloin is a good one to sneak in there because you just after a certain level, if you've played so much balcony, you're not gonna look at
Yeah.
at Toby. It's either fingerprint or Purloin is on, and so it was a pretty early Purloin, and it was a request Purloin. And so it's possible that Foxtrot got caught off guard, not even expecting a Purloin to occur, saw that the Purloin was there, and was like, I've got to shoot someone.
yeah, even though Red Dress had the drink actually for a little while at that point.
Mhm.
Actually,
There was
yeah, for quite a
one
while.
reject in between, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think Realo really got a good
Yeah,
look
probably
at it,
just
though.
didn't know. Probably just like at that moment, I was like, "Oh no, Purloin's on. The list is gone. To shoot somebody that's holding a drink." That, you know.
Yeah. That might be the case there. This is the kind of crazy stuff that happens in Challenger, though.
Yeah.
All right, and well, anyway, with that, Iggy is brought it to a tie. So far, sweeping his map pick. We'll see if
Okay,
Foxtrot can recover.
So now we're gonna do a good job. Fingerprint is on this time instead of
Ooh.
bug, which is
Ooh.
not
New
totally
school.
unreasonable.
I've seen.
As
I mean, I
like-
remember there was a good stretch where I believe Kaylee was doing this setup pretty
Yeah.
consistently. I believe I think Kaylee's feeling was that like he wanted more missions that the AIs could complete. You know, like the fingerprint's one of those missions where it's pretty. I mean, odds are pretty low on balcony that an
Yes.
AI will complete fingerprint, but it is possible. And so
I
he just
believe
wants that
he
extra
said
little.
something
Yeah.
along the lines of the 1 in 100 balcony games where an AI does complete fingerprint, he will get a free win because of it.
Yeah.
I think he was doing that especially back in the old art days where catching bug on balcony was much easier.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, now that bug is on new art, I think Kaylee, even Kaylee is doing bug on there because there's so many good times where you can get a legitimately invisible bug and it's outweighed the fingerprint thing. So there's not a. It's kind of weird. Fingerprint is so. All right, I guess we'll talk about fingerprint when this game gets going. I'll shut up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's see how this game goes. If Foxtrot can, get that lead back. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Start off at Windows again. There's plenty of space next to our ST if we want to slide into that conversation.
One of the other consequences of fingerprint, of contact seduce fingerprint, is there's no way to be done quickly. You're pretty solid at not shooting before a minute in almost any circumstance. I'd be hard pressed to, unless you get like a 3 green contact seduce, and you'd have to actually bounce out after the seduce, or you seduce immediately, go out, seduce once you get back, contact. It's hard to finish in under a minute. Same thing with fingerprint. Ambassador is probably not going to touch enough things for you to do that in the first minute. So you can wait.
General ended up getting a highlight for doing a briefcase return, so maybe the strategy is working.
One thing it does mess
and a
up
drink.
for players is highlights, right? So it'll pollute the sniper's highlights that usually would be reserved for talking. if they have to track fingerprints as well, and they're using highlights to track it.
We did
we
ignore
ignored Toby.
Toby, though.
And there was a fingerprint on that drink. That was interesting.
All right,
Looks
well,
like-
now would be a good time for banana bread, but so far we are not taking it. Now, Double Agent might leave right now, so a little risk. Okay, Double Agent does stay after the drink take.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's 2 people out of conversation now. I think the finish. I think a finish here is unlikely. Can maybe get a far green flirt
Banana bread.
and a banana bread, but it's going to be overtime. Looks like shot's going to come off on general anyway.
Yeah, there you go. I
Interesting.
mean,
Interesting that Iggy didn't wait for overtime there.
yeah,
Because the banana bread came off after.
yeah, it's probably, I've done that before. I just sort of forgotten that. If you hear banana bread, when did that happen?
About
Banana bread.
Yeah,
looks
8-second mark. Yeah, there
8
would have been
So it
2
would-
seconds of overtime.
It would have been 2 seconds, but also you're relying on the sync, right? And
Yeah.
also not dancing.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, anyway, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I would have waited just to hear the beeps, just to, had my finger right on the button to shoot. I mean, but he would have probably, if he was shooting general, it still would have been, fortunately, incorrect.
Yep.
But anyway,
Overall-
that actually, it's kind of funny because the highlight for general came from that fingerprint, but that was his only fingerprint. And see, he talked once, talked again. Okay, I mean, he did enough. He certainly did enough talking.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
anyway.
I mean, that might be a case of what you were saying earlier, muddying your highlights. You highlight him because he gets a print, and it gets down to the wire, someone banana breads, and you're thinking, oh man, I need to shoot someone. Who's the most suspicious person? And you look at who's highlight, and there's general.
All right.
Yeah, no, actually, I kind of like it versus some snipers where if they're a high highlighting sniper that's good at balcony bugs. So, for example, now that I'm just going to say this out loud, I think that might be a good strategy versus Drawn. Drawn's great at catching bugs. He uses his highlights a lot on the map, and if he wants to use highlights for fingerprints on the map, that actually could mess with his play a little bit. Anyway, we are not playing with Drawn. We are playing with.
Well,
Iggy
yeah,
and
well, you will
Foxtrot,
be, so
we
we'll
can
see. Maybe you can.
That's true, guy.
Mm.
Because
because obviously you're gonna pick balcony.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, and we'll look at this next match. Oh, we got Orange Sari as spy. See if her always being the spy will hold true here. Foxtrot could opt to shoot her immediately. That would be a pretty decent strat here. Pro tips in 3, 2, 1, planet.
We are back to. Oh wait, no, we're not back to old school balcony. We
Okay.
still have fingerprint on.
Oh no, it's off.
Am I watching the wrong game?
Are you
We
maybe?
might be. Do we want to restart real quick?
Yeah, can we?
We
can
are
we-
orange dress as spy.
Orange
Is
Sari?
that orange? Sorry, are you?
Oh, I think I just rewatched the same exact game.
Oh,
Never
okay,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's, yeah, this
start
game's so
over.
nice. You watched it twice. Yeah. All right. Are you on the next one?
Yeah, I'm
All
ready.
right. So let's try this again. In 3, 2, 1, planet.
That would have been an interesting cast there. So we are back to old school balcony.
We've tried out almost all the permutations, except for contact has always been in there. But every mission has seen play so far.
We haven't had one with contact and Purloin. The Purloin game bug was also on. We haven't flirted yet. We entered closely to our ST, but he bailed pretty quickly. And we're actually going to choose to leave the conversation before flirting. So now at this point, it seems like the only reasonable way to finish is with a 2 flirt or with a bug.
Not a bad bug, too.
Looks like it was not seen.
Yeah, Foxtrot seems to once again be going with this sort of low laser sniper style. And I feel like I don't know if this is
Banana bread.
causing
Here comes
stuff
the
to be
banana
missed.
bread.
Ignoring Toby again.
And shot.
And shot.
So maybe he was a bit more on top of that bug than we thought.
Maybe, yeah.
Banana bread.
Let's see
Also,
how
was like
visible
one of
it
the
was.
was the only talker, so it could have been a a wood shot as well.
Possibly.
Also ignoring Toby. There's a
Banana
lot
bread.
of there's a lot of different things that could have been going on with that.
Who knows?
The full
Either
ignore hadn't
anyway,
occurred yet.
that was an excellent shot.
That's true.
Brings Foxtrot up by 2 now. So that was that was a split on balcony. Yeah, it was a split in fact. Right? Yeah. Pretty sure.
I think.
Or
Yeah, I think that was a split. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Yep. Pretty sure that's accurate. Anyway, we got moving on to the next map, which is gallery. Lovely map. One of my favorites, I think. You know.
So the interesting thing is that if Iggy was struggling to finish missions on 5 of 8 Modern, I
Yeah.
don't think 4 of 8 Gallery is going to be much easier for him.
No, and it's even players who are generally good at completing missions struggle with time management on this map just because it's deceptively difficult, especially with the 2 conversations that are far apart. There's a lot of instances where like you're on one side of the map and you need to walk all the way to the other side to flirt or BB or something, and then your seduction target ends up going the other way, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta stand on this side of the map for a bit for nothing.
Suddenly you have 1 minute left and
Yeah.
3 missions to do, and it's just.
All right. Anyway, we'll see. Well, we got Foxtrot as spy first. We'll see how they can go. This was their pick, so maybe they've got some. Got a little more practice with this map. We'll see. In 3, 2, 1, planet.
Gonna start off with a close flirt. White test, so 34%.
And we're kind of fortunate where the AI put us, so where we were talking about the time management issues, we're gonna start off pretty well. But now, if we go for a timer flirt, I have mixed feelings about timer flirt on this map. So the good part of timer flirt on this map is, honestly, if they go to the front area, going there and back isn't that much shorter than a timer flirt regardless. But now, if they bail on you, you've wasted a lot of time and you have to chase them. So it's
a lot of sunk cost.
Exactly. And we're gonna have an immediate purloin.
White purloin. There's not very many people inside. But the flip side of that, you see a lot of people walking towards the outside, and you see a purloin coming off. All of those people headed outside become more suspicious.
The way that the tray was being held inside of, I think it was Tex's model, I'm not sure if this purloin's been seen yet.
Many people now headed back inside. The BB was a fake, it's important to note, probably to cover for the purloin. Looks like he's just seeing the purloin now. He zooms in on the tray there. And unfortunately not going to get much information from it. We just gulped our drink, so any trace of the purloin's now gone. And it looks like it's pretty much clean.
Clean, and we have seduction at 85, so wouldn't mind chasing the seduction target right now. Oh, another problem that we have, I didn't really realize.
Oh, we're returning the list. The list has been returned. We get Lolit while we're doing it.
Would a spy do that?
Crazy.
Spies wouldn't return lists. That's stupid.
Spies would never return a list. Oh no. And now that we're Lolit, we take the drink and we immediately run to the bookcase.
All right, so here's the question. Do we remember to gulp? Okay,
we do gulp. We've gulped.
The thing is, we're not going to get a fingerprint off of this because Ambassador's not going to put this back in time. So we're going to have this book. If we want the fingerprint on this, well, we're not going to get the fingerprint on this, but we might just dump this.
Stop reading its shelf.
That's happened to both players, I think, too. Like, I don't think that was Ice. I don't think last time that was Foxtrot. I think last time that was Iggy. So I think both of these players think that you have to stop before you move, which in a lot of cases is the sort of way you move around SpyParty, but that is not the way the books work.
And this is that situation we were talking about. Suddenly there's 50 seconds left and you still have 3 missions to do. Looks like we're going to get the direct transfer here for the book. And we just have to flirt and BB, which would be pretty easy if this was any map except gallery. Our ST is headed outside. We're chasing them first, it looks like.
And the problem with our ST is that it's Orange Sari. Orange Sari is one of the worst STs on this particular map because she's so slow. She's going to spend so much of the game in transit, useless to us.
You can't flirt there. That's the wrong window pad.
This is such a blessing in disguise, I think, if we can get out of here. If we can just get out of here right now.
Pearls has also just checked her watch, and she's high lit.
All right, so this is a really interesting and tense moment. So right now, I'm really curious to see how Iggy reacts to this, because this is a complicated situation. The problem is, we know there's been a time ad, so that kind of makes us nervous, but it also should make us not nervous, because it means the spy's probably not close to being done. And so now we can kind of reasonably wait for an overtime situation. So now, the big question is, one, does Iggy play in the situation enough to know you do not shoot before overtime?
Banana bread.
Did she not bug? Oh wait, here we go.
A shot comes off on Pearls. She was another potential time adder at the front there.
Yep, that was a sensible shot.
Ultimately, a good decision to go for the banana bread, because whatever mission you finish with there, the sniper is going to be signaled that you've just finished a mission anyway. So you might as well do the one that, tells them information anyway.
Right. And not only that, Ambassador is right next to us, and I was concerned that they were going to go for the bug, which would have been one of the few things that could have been done at that moment. Like, unless there's a swap that went off, or maybe a final seduce or something like that, or fingerprint across the map, maybe Queen would have gotten shot. It would have narrowed us down much more than the double agent, as you're saying.
All right, and with that, Foxtrot's locked in at least a draw. I just did a quick check, and Foxtrot does have one previous draw, so this would be their second point. But with any luck, this could be Foxtrot's first win. We'll see how Iggy does. We saw earlier he had time management problems, so we'll see if that props up again here. Go in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I'm really curious if in the last game that time ad near the end was intentional or not. It looked like it was going for a flirt, but honestly, if they had tried to flirt and not time added, it would have been over. I don't think they would have been able to finish missions at all. So time adding was definitely the right play. I don't know if it was conscious or not.
Mm-hmm. I think the one other possible way to approach the end to that game is the DA was in our conversation near the bookcases, so could have gone for a quick BB split and then try and get a flirt outside. But that risks Orange Sari leaving windows and going somewhere else, and we all know how long it takes for her to get anywhere, so...
It's true, but also in that position, I agree with you that now, Foxtrot ended up winning the game, so it's hard to critique too much. But from that position, from that bend point, if you go in and you contact Double Agent and you chase Orange Sari outside, if you do miss the seduction target, you then can follow up with the time ad as your backup plan.
Very true.
All right, it's kind of once again worth mentioning Foxtrot's kind of interesting laser position. Just placing it right on this bar. Once again, I think just trying to hide the laser, but not moving at all.
I think you're right, or like maybe they just like having a big section of their screen blanked out, and so that it's not the center of the screen they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem consistent, where it hasn't been consistently above or below. So I think you're right that Foxtrot is highly valuing obfuscating the laser position. Very
true. Gallery is a map where you can pretty much see everything with minimal movement. So it's a reasonable strategy to do on this map. In any case, we have a green microfilm in pocket and a bug right there onto the Ambassador.
I mean, they could also just be on a restroom break, banking on Iggy not being able to finish missions.
Very true. Although I like this. So on this one, I think this laser position works much better than the one on Modern, you're going to give away some of your looking at modern regardless. But on this one, actually, this is a great sniper laser position on that little thin bar.
White microfilm is
Iggy's
pretty
actually
much
getting
in
missions
full
done
view.
here.
Yeah, and we not only that, we have so we have 2 missions done and partial progress on 3 other missions. So we have a lot of options as well. We can finish with seduction, we can finish with inspect, we can finish with contact. We have so many ways to go from here.
I really hope we don't see a checker game of Gallery coming out here,
Oh.
because that would be quite a shame after we're so close. So finally moving the laser to make some lights, it looks like.
Yep.
Just need
Just came
a
back from the
banana
restroom break,
bread.
I guess.
Banana bread.
Banana bread comes off, and we need one more mission. Could be a flirt or highlight for
Ooh,
talking
highlight.
during the banana bread.
All right, so right now we're relying on timer flirt a little bit. Okay, no, we
Time
brief.
ad.
Interesting.
Don't time it.
Okay, so let's just go back in right now. Okay, so hopefully, did we do something? Leave right now. So
Flirt.
it's gonna be overtime, and we are like one of the only highlights. I think that we are gonna get shot if this goes off.
That's a great overtime shot from Realo there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. It was unfortunate,
being-
I guess, Iggy not paying full attention to everything at when he steps into this conversation here. Ambassador is at a statue there, leaving a little fingerprint behind. So it could have just done a quick BB and over to that statue.
The thing is, that would also be his second statue visit, and maybe he
Yeah.
wants to dodge the.
Yeah, but it
suspicion
was
for
the same. It
finishing
was the
inspect.
same set that he had inspected before.
Ah, gotcha.
So it would have been a little bit more safe.
You know, you got to think though, with challenger players,
Yeah, who
they
knows?
might
Yeah,
just see
hard to
2
say.
inspects. They might not see.
Yep, you
2
never know.
inspect set.
But anyway, it was
Realo-
just it's just Gallery is one of those maps where it's kind of rough, and you have that you have progress on all the missions. It's just hard to
decide which one
Yeah.
to go for.
So what's interesting also about this is we talk about the trade-off sometimes of what do you do when a banana bread goes off? Do you prioritize low-lighting the people outside of conversations, or do you prioritize looking at the people that would be done with it? Foxtrot makes a decision to highlight the people that appear to him to be talking. So he highlights Boots, Taft, and Pencil Stash. And so then decides that, all right, assuming that it's real, and, well, I guess you have to assume it's real because there's a DA in both conversations. But then also that it's a white test. And that decision to focus on who's talking in those conversations eventually gives him a pool of people that could possibly be done. He knows that Taft can't be done after overtime, otherwise he would have already won. And the only other suspect out of the 3 that he had highlighted that could have maybe been done would have been Pencil Stash, but didn't do anything in between there. It would have taken like a weird reverse bug or something that he would have missed. And so out of his 3 suspects that he highlighted during that, Iggy or Boots was the only one that actually could have finished something, and that really paid off.
Yeah. So despite the overtime, it's still going to be really hard for a newer player to shoot for flirt, and I think it was a really good play from Realo here to be able to make that shot on the kind of bail and then go back for the flirt. And it also earned him his first win in SCL.
Yeah,
so.
first win and last win. Well, actually, no. I was gonna say last win this season, but now is when they all get to go into the challenger
Tournament.
bracket, which is happening now. After the top 2 players in challenger auto promote to iron, and then I believe the 2 finishers or whatever of this challenger tournament that was being seeded by the Swiss that went up until now. I think a number of finishers of this tournament going on now will be also promoted to iron.
Mm-hmm.
So Foxtrot, their season not quite done yet. I think we'll be casting a couple of challenger bracket matches in tomorrow's cast, so we'll see how that's going.
And before we move on, I do want to shout out Iggy. We talked about at the beginning of this game where 4 of 8 gallery is more or less similar to the kind of pacing you need to have on Modern. And Iggy did a great job of left themselves open to a lot of different options. By getting the bug and the transfer and the partial credit on inspect Seduce, and Fingerprint, they had to do 2 of 4 pretty soft missions, right? They could do any 2 of those and had so many different ways to go. And that's a great way to kind of go through galleries. Just leave yourself open, because if you really rely, like all of us have been at some point, relied on Seduce for that last mission and gotten screwed over with a seduction target and like had to hunt them down so far and not quite make it. And then we're kind of mad at ourselves for not leaving those options open later. So I love that play. Unfortunately, it was countered by better play by Foxtrot, but hey, credit to both of them.
Yep.
And just a note for this set as a whole, we don't cast kind of the lower level challenger all that often. And when we do, sometimes we see mistakes like the double sipping at statues or like the returning the guest list, which we don't see in higher level play. This game is hard. And when you're just starting out at playing this game, it's even more difficult. So don't think at any time that we're like poking fun at you guys or like ah ha ha, because we realize we've been there before and we've been new at this game and made those same mistakes hundreds of times before.
And that's when we actually make fun of people, is when we see very experienced players make those mistakes, and then we're relentlessly teasing them about
it. There was some really good play in the set from both players, and it was a good cast.
And not only that, but it was the kind of play that's going to translate really well. It's really easy to clean up things like doing double sipping, bumping into stuff. That's the stuff that's going to be easier for you to learn, right? You're going to get that down. What's the more difficult part, and it's more of an indicator for the actual natural aptitude towards the game, is the decision-making process. Once you clean up your play a little bit, that same decision-making process that helped you win a couple of these games is going to make you an outstanding player once you clean up the little mistakes here and there.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right, anyway, that's our cast. The game is SpyParty. You can pick it up over on Steam or SpyParty.com. It is $25. It is a fantastic game. And that's our cast. Thank you, Sloppy Davis and Nanthalus, aka Nathan Yellis.
Yeah. Oh,
Please,
it's great to be back.
Please don't say that name.
No.
Don't let that spread. And props to Klitos for hosting. I'm glad you jumped in a few times, because I will say one of my bones to pick as being a host is, man, sometimes it's a long thing and sometimes you just get kind of bored. And Klitos has done a great job this season. Also, dude, your overlays, I haven't gotten to see all of this. Man, your overlays are fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Well, I was helped by the person who had stepped in. I forget their name now, but they had sort of appeared and happened to have some apparently actual professional graphics design experience, and they provided.
Was it Toon?
No, it was
Okay, no. Oh, I think I know.
Yeah.
I'd have to scroll up in the chat to see, but
yeah,
there is a name, and they did help with the overlay stuff.
Yeah, and I more or less took a lot of that artwork, the artwork, and sort of reconfigured it a little bit to into my own stuff. But yeah, it was fantastic work. They were actually in the SCL and Challenger, but just life got in the way and they were too busy and they had to drop. But anyway, oh yeah, Kaplow, there it is.
Kaplow, that's right.
Yep, they did some pretty fantastic stuff. Anyway, that's it. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with some, I believe, a couple Challenger bracket games and perhaps something else. I don't quite remember what, but we'll see.
Hopefully a live game from Warning Track, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think there's a Warning Track and Kayla game that's happening. That might happen before the cast. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Anyway, that's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.